Hi, what's up? Tim Sykes here. Wanted to do a quick video on AREB while it is still hot. Who knows where it goes, but this is today's clear supernova, up nearly 400%. It was just up close to 500%, but awesome run up. I think we start out by saying, look, I tweeted it in the fours. It went up to 8, but even better than me, I was a little late, frankly, alerting it in the fours. I tweeted it and posted it in the chat room. But StocksToTrade Breaking News alerted it in the twos. And you just got to be ready. Like, this is the kind of market where literally there's plays at all freaking hours. Okay. So they alerted it. The timestamp here, well, you can't see on the video, but this is 11:35 a.m. Oh, it says it on the tweet. 11:36 a.m. Okay, and it's a chat room pump. So some people will say, I don't want to buy chat room pumps. It's wrong. It's worthless. But this is a low float chat room pump, and the news is that they can potentially get into Lago and get into the whole Trump circle. It's worth a shot, right? Like, this is a former supernova. If you remember a few months ago, AREB was a beautiful runner. Now they did like a whole reverse split, and so now the float is like nothing. And you got to be willing to buy these things whenever they're hot. I finally jumped on it in the fives. Like, I thought I was like really chasing. And this is a question that a lot of people are asking, like, when is it chasing? You don't know, right? It's already up from the twos. I alerted it in the fours. I think also Tim Bowen had, 2-minute trader. They alerted it. Yeah, lots of alerts. They alerted at 11:48 a.m. Eastern. So like right here at 3:97. So again, whether you get it in the twos, threes, fours, or even fives, it goes all the way to the eights, okay? And you guys have to understand, like, when I thought I was chasing here, I'm taking a small position. I wanted 1,000 shares. I only got 700. But even if I got 1,000, I'm still putting in like roughly 5 grand. And the whole thing is, can you put in like 5 grand? Or for some of you, everyone has different account sizes. So some of you maybe put in 500 and try to make 100. But the point remains, there's so much upside in these plays. And then also, even if you miss the initial bounce and you're scared, I get that. In chat, I said, come on, crack, open up some panic dip buys. And this was at 12:36 p.m. This was 15 minutes ago. And I said, at 12:40 p.m., I said, ideally, AREB cracks to the VWAP in the fives and then bounces. And it did. It went down to 577 and it bounced right at the VWAP. So this is the thing. There's so many opportunities, whether you get in the breaking news alert in the twos, the 2-minute trader alert in the threes, my alerts in the fours, my buy in the fives. Like, this is the kind of gift that keeps giving. And even if you miss all those 2, 3, 4, fives, you wait for a panic near the VWAP. I got a question like, how do you know which panic to buy? Because it had this panic and then this panic. This panic didn't go down to the VWAP, and it's scary to drop from 8 down to 6. But again, it bounced all the way back nearly to 8. So this first crack is actually what I usually like, but it didn't drop enough to the VWAP for me to buy. And then it did actually fulfill my goals here like 3 minutes after I said it in chat. And I wanted more panic because, it's a little scary. I'm not great at dip buying these kinds of plays. I'd rather buy them on the front side where the shorts are on their back foot. And you don't know how high it goes, okay? And this can really turn your account into something. It can turn around a bad day. I saw a few of you guys nail it. I wanted to give a shout out to Sonia. Jumped in at 510, out at 710. Even if it's 100 shares, even if it's 10 shares, you need to learn to understand and, get more comfortable with supernovas. I know they're scary. I know you don't want to chase, but, as I said, I was like, be more afraid of, what did I say? I say, be more afraid of dying an unfulfilled life than being scared of this kind of play that can change your life. It's really true, okay? So we haven't had that many supernovas today. If you watch my video lesson from yesterday, or if you were in the challenge webinar yesterday, like yesterday, April 1st, Tuesday, no joke, was freaking amazing. April 2nd, the big plays like Newsmax, tanking 45%. RSLS was a big runner yesterday, down 69%. Did they do a financing? RSLS tanked, GRI tanked. A lot of these supernovas tank, okay? So you're not wrong in being scared that these things are going to tank, but you are wrong for not trying to take some of the upside. And many of you just need to do it. So congrats to Sonia. I saw a few other people. This was cool. Royal Viking said he went from down 2,000 to positive 2,000 thanks to AREB. Still need to work on cutting losses quickly. Be happy this one, but happy this one was alerted. And that's the thing, right? Like, even if you're trading like crap, like this really, really can change things in a fast way. P. Wally just got the nice dip buy on the VWAP 606 to 651. Marty Boom. Oh, wait, you can't see it. Ugh, too many windows. It's just below this window. Marty Boom was just buying on the VWAP 586 to 650. So again, buying on the way up, 2, 3, 4, 5s, and even if you don't want to necessarily chase it here, you're like, well, it's scary. You got to buy this breakout here. Okay. You really have to. This is what really encouraged me when it was just like, wait a minute, this thing consolidated. This is the kind of action, and I went over this in the challenge webinar last night as I'm filming this. This is the kind of action that lures in shorts, right? Because it's already up from the 1s to the 5s, and the shorts are like, no way, this can keep going. And remember, short sellers are all in the same chat rooms together. They're very insecure. They're very toxic. In these chat rooms, unlike mine, it's very much groupthink. With short sellers, it's all follow the leader. With me, I hope that you never follow anybody. I want you to be self-sufficient, but short sellers are not self-sufficient. They're too insecure. They're too toxic. And we got to love them for it because they're all shorting in here. And then when it breaks to new highs, they're all covering. This whole run up here specifically from 5 to 8, this is shorts. Okay. Did it ever deserve to go to 8? No, this is a piece of crap company. And, frankly, you can see the volume is fading now. It did bounce $1 a share off the VWAP, but when the volume fades, I mean, some shorts are entering right now. So the best hope that you can have is a stock going to keep going if the shorts get too over aggressive, like, right in here? I can almost like just sense the short seller's frustration. Because then this company probably does like a financing and it drops to like $2 like in the next 2 days. It's possible. The short sellers aren't wrong in, saying this is a junk company, it's overvalued. What they're wrong is that they have the wrong strategy at the wrong time and they're all, trading together. Groupthink is always a problem. Whether you're buying a promo together, a lot of these like crypto people, they all hodl together and they have like this fake sense of security. God forbid if crypto's uptrend ever reverses, it's going to be ugly and you're going to have to like, seek therapy for anybody in crypto. If it reverses, crypto has been the best performing asset of the past decade. So I hope it keeps going. I want Bitcoin to hit 1 million, but I do have to call out the groupthink behavior. And this kind of groupthink behavior is the same thing right in here. I know several shorts, several big shorts, several small shorts who were shorting in here. If I was a short seller still and not just a former short seller, I would be shorting here and I'd be covering here. I would take the loss, but I usually cut losses quickly. Many of these shorts, I'm not teaching short selling anymore. And the current shorts, just have such big accounts. They try to outlast squeezes and most of the time they can, but you as a newbie, you with a small account, you can't outlast squeezes. Just as likely that this goes to 2 because of some financing or, some negative news that comes out in the next few days, this could still go to 10, right? You don't know how many shorts there are. There's no accurate short data. I know everyone wants it. It doesn't exist. Just be grateful that there are short sellers. Wow. I thought it was going to fade right in here. I still have like the short seller mentality, but this is part of the reason why I just made a clear cut where I do not short sell. I think that having like clear set rules prevents you from being wrong, prevents you from losing big. And, I think clear set rules are very good. Like this is why I say cut losses quickly, not because I'm going to be right every time. Like, sometimes I have to cut losses quickly and then the stock comes back. But just having that rule in mind prevents me from being like a full degenerate. I had a loss earlier today on CRVO trying the VWAP dip buy. It couldn't hold the VWAP. I cut losses, okay? Not all trades are going to work out. You can't be afraid of losses. Like I lost a little bit. I tried to give it time. I even added, but it just couldn't bounce. And I lost 1%. What's CRVO at now? I should have probably still been watching it. Oh, I think I was. I just changed the tickers. Well, it's still hanging around the VWAP, so it wouldn't have been that bad. But when it failed the VWAP, it went down from 1220 down to 1160. So you don't want to be there for a VWAP crack. You want to see it hold. AREB held the VWAP and now we're uptrending. So who knows? But congrats to everyone who took it. Again, recognize that this is why we have so many services, okay? Some people are like, which do I follow? Sometimes when there's multiple alerts on the same stock across multiple services, that's like, wait a minute, this is triggering, multiple strategies. This is a damn good setup. So if you are subscribed to Tim Bowen and me and Breaking News, and we're all alerting it at different prices, and frankly, I was late. I wasn't there like in front of the computer when it was breaking out. I should have been. This market is not conducive for my traveling all the time kind of lifestyle, but what can you do? But, still recognizing the upside, that's the key, okay? Not being afraid of these, scary supernovas, but recognizing that these plays have potential, recognizing that even if you buy 100 shares, 200 shares, or if you have a small account, 10 shares, or if you're not trading yet, paper trading, right? You don't have to go in big on a scary stock. Or if you, get comfortable once you trade these kinds of stocks, for, 10 shares, 20 shares, 50 shares, 100 shares, 1,000 shares, you get more comfortable and you take on more size. And that's how you take on size. A lot of people wonder how my top millionaire students take so much size, because they start with small size. They're trading stocks like this, okay? But they're starting it with small size. They're getting comfortable and they're building their own knowledge account. Remember, I say you have two accounts, your knowledge account and your brokerage account. You need plays like this to either A, grow your knowledge account, or grow your knowledge and brokerage account. But once you have enough of these kinds of plays, this is all, so it's very important that you see the time frame here. Once you see these kinds of plays, this is all in an hour, okay? An hour from 2-ish to 8-ish. So this is what penny stocks and specifically supernovas are all about. I'm not saying chase it in the 6s, 7s, 8s, but the 2s, 3s, 4s, and even the 5s turned out to be fantastic. And again, when you only see one or two of these, you don't really know what to do. If you don't trade one or two of these, you don't really know what to do. But once you see 100 of them, once you trade 100 of them, you really start to get a feel. Obviously, every play is a little different. Every market is a little different. It's not an exact science. But these are the kinds of plays that can really grow an account. And this is why I'm making this long video. Some people are like, I get it. Just buy these things. No, you don't get it, okay? You need to actually learn about these kinds of plays. And this is why I say subscribe to everything. Some people are like, no, I'm overwhelmed with information. Shut up, okay? You're overwhelmed with good information. There's a difference. Or it's not just noise, and not every play is going to do this. But when you see a low float former supernova that's running up 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700% on the day, okay? Like yesterday we had 5 stocks? Just think about this for a second, because let me just go back to this. I gave a challenge webinar yesterday on April 1st. All you challenge students, watch the webinar. Whenever you watch this video, go back into the archives and watch the webinar I gave on April 1st, 2025. Ignore that it's April 1st. It doesn't matter. It's not a joke. This is real. But the day that Val Kilmer died, very sad. He's one of my favorite actors. But I got to give props. Coco Pelli nailed RSLS, and he says sold way too soon at 50 cents, considering it went up to like $3 a share, but he took the 27% gain. It's okay to sell too soon. You just got to get experience locking it in. RSL was up 740% yesterday. Just a reminder, shoot, now I got to move the video back. RSLS is down 68%. So just to keep things in perspective, it's kind of funny just to look one day out. Coco Pelli was sold way too soon. It went up to $3 a share, and he sold it at 51 cents. And the very next day, it's at 50 cents. So yes, he could have sold at 152, 253. So yeah, he sold too soon, but he locked in the 27% and he got that experience. This is what I love. And some of you are like, oh, I can't make big money, with a small account. Correct. But you can grow your knowledge account in a big way with a small account. And once you grow your knowledge account enough, once you see enough of these, you start getting a feel for them. That's the whole key. 99.9% of you watching this video don't have a feel for these plays. And if you don't have a feel for these plays, you're not going to be able to trade them, and let alone take size on them, okay? If you want to be my next millionaire student, it's a 3-step process. You got to learn from these. You got to learn to trade them with small size. And then once you get enough experience, you trade them with bigger size. And it's kind of nice, like your knowledge account grows, your brokerage account grows. You shouldn't go with big size when you don't have a big knowledge account, right? Like you can't cheat the process. You got to go one step along the way. But what I love, I was highlighting RSLS and WTF yesterday, but just to give you props, Eric is one of my challenge students. He bought WTF. WTF was running yesterday, okay? Just because of the ticker name. Just because of the ticker name. Well, WTF, haha, it's funny. Like all the traders were sharing it. It's up from 4 to 28, WTF, right? So Eric remembered that a similar, cool acronym name, HUGE, was a hot play a few months ago. So he just put in like $13,000, 3,000 shares in the fours. He confirmed during yesterday's webinar that this was real. And he sold it at 12. So he put in $13,000 and he walked away with a $24,000 profit. Okay. And WTF went up to 28. So don't think that this is like best case scenario. That's the beautiful thing. There's so much damn opportunity on these plays, but you need to start watching them. You need to start, inching in either with 10 shares, 50 shares, 100 shares, paper trading, and then you size up. But no matter how you slice it, these are the kinds of plays that can really grow your account. Okay, Tesla's up. It's nice. Elon is apparently like leaving the government to focus on his companies because his stocks are down so much and his shareholders are up in arms and protesters are up in arms. That's fine. But that's the stock with probably the best news possible after really like terrible delivery news this morning. It's up from the lows 250 to 280. Okay, it's up like 12%. AREB is up even now $1 a share off its highs. It's up 380%. Just to help you understand why Tesla and all these other bigger companies, this is why people are forced to trade options where you can't necessarily cut losses quickly because there's just not enough volatility. So they're using different kinds of financial instruments to get that volatility. You don't need options on AREB. I doubt it's even optionable. Even if there were options, I wouldn't trade it. The stock is more than enough volatile for everybody. And this is the kind of play that can really drive you forward. So congrats to P. Wally. Congrats to Sonia. Cam nailed it too. Cam's in Japan. He's one of my inner circle students, and he just took it for like 35 cents a share. Don't feel like you have to do anything huge. Here's Marty Boom, in at 586, out at 650, thought he was late to the game. Even if you think that you're late to the game, you can still try to push it. I wouldn't push it here because now like the uptrend is broken and it's kind of sideways. You had that one, VWAP dip buy opportunity, but after that, there's just not much. But there was tons and tons of opportunity. And this is why, I know everyone has different schedules. You want plays, right at the open or right at the close like normal. It doesn't matter. The market doesn't care what you want, okay? The opportunities come whenever. And the question is, are you going to be there to see it? Are you going to be there to, capitalize? Do you even have the right mindset? So, I only made $600. Some people are going to be like, Tim, like you talk a lot and you barely made any money. Correct. I didn't fully capitalize on it. I got a partial fill. I was frankly $3 a share too late, but I wanted to show that even with an imperfect entry, a small size relative for me, I can still make money. And, again, this just adds to my knowledge account. I've seen thousands of these plays, literally thousands of supernovas. So you guys watching this, you're playing a game of catch up. You need to see more supernovas. You need to trade more supernovas. And then once you build your knowledge and experience accounts up enough, that's when you size up. And that's what leads to millions of dollars. This is how my millionaire students have done it. Just to put things in perspective for you. It's important you see what like my top students have done. This was an article that actually just came out. I got to highlight this. Jack, one of my 8-figure students, 10K into 3 million in the last 15 months. Okay. Mind you, he had other accounts. This is just his Roth IRA, but this is the crazy upside. And he's trading supernovas and he's taking size. But he's also been in my challenge. He's also, literally like my top earning student lately, turned master. He's obsessed. And that's how you size up. Let's go back a decade. Some people are thinking, oh, it's just this market. Here is, I don't need your ads. This was back in 2013 when Grittani first turned 1,500 into $1 million in 3 years. Mind you, after a year, he had made nothing. He was break even. Okay. And mind you, Jack Kellogg, after 18 months, he was down like 10 grand. So these two 8-figure people who, Jack has made 17 million, Grittani has made 16 million. Guess what? Grittani made nothing his first year, but he did make $1 million within 3 years. Jack was down 10K after 18 months. And they're not just losing on one trade and then giving up. They're taking hundreds, if not thousands of trades, learning, optimizing, growing their knowledge account, and then they're later sizing up. So many of you are so afraid to break even. So many of you are so afraid of like losing $1,000, $5,000, $10,000. I'm not trying to minimize that dollar amount, but there's a saying like you have to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. You have to take some losses. You have to be scared to really get this stuff. You're not going to become my next millionaire student by ignoring supernovas. Okay? The key to becoming my next millionaire is partaking in supernovas like this. So this is why I'm so up in arms with plays like this. And yesterday, frankly, was better. So I understand if you're like, yesterday had so many opportunities, today there's not much. That's fine. That's fair. But there still is this opportunity. And even when the market was down Friday, I nailed MYSZ, which doubled, from my buys in the 150s and 160s, and it went to the 3s the next trading day. So even in a bad market, there can still be some supernovas, still be some opportunities. You're playing a game of catch up, okay? There are traders like me, and now my 40 plus millionaire students with years of experience. Some of us have decades of experience with these kinds of plays. So whenever they pop up, we have a better feel than someone who's just beginning. And this is why, we alert, okay? This is why we have so many services. If you go into StocksToTrade and you look at these services, I know some people are like, so many services, I don't know which to follow. Don't follow anybody. Don't follow any service. Learn from them. And it's better to have more eyes on a stock. So I'll include a link to all of these services just below this video, but you should be in all of them. And when all 3 of these services, for example, alert one stock, that's like a triple word score in Scrabble, pay attention to it. It's not all the time. In fact, it's pretty rare when we're all, seeing the same kinds of things. But when you have 3 services with very good track records and experience, all saying this stock can keep going, you should pay attention. And, I know that there's a lot of plays and not every play is going to be like this, but this is the kind of play that you must focus on. Leave a comment underneath this video. Say, I will focus on supernovas. Do not be scared of them. As I said in chat, be more afraid of dying in unfulfilled life. Did I say be more afraid of dying? Be more afraid of living an unfulfilled life, or be more afraid of dying and then having regrets over your unfulfilled life. However you want to phrase it, okay? I'm not perfect. I'm not that smart myself. But this is the kind of opportunity that really grows your knowledge account. It can grow your brokerage account, especially when you take you a size. I don't know how many shares Sonia had. It doesn't even matter, okay? Whether she did 100 shares, 200 shares, 1,000 shares. All that matters is she took the trade. She had a pretty good entry. She had a better exit than me. And that is going to help her in her journey going forward. Royal Viking used it to go from negative 2,000 to positive 2,000. And he realizes that he needs to cut losses quickly. So he's walking away with profits and a good lesson from whatever loss he had on his last one. So these are the kinds of opportunities. Tell me that you understand. I'll link the 3 services that alerted this. Use this all. Grow your knowledge account. I'll post this video when I can. So I also want to do one extra video just to show you where AREB finished up. These things usually do fade by day's end. Again, they're, terrible companies. The whole key is just, can they spike? How far will they spike? Will they have multiple spikes? And the AREB, while I was filming, it was, I think in here, I don't know if I had to hit the highs. I don't even remember. It was earlier today. It's been a long day, but it was in here somewhere. It failed at the VWAP right here and crashed from basically, 6 down to 430. But interestingly, this is like 2 p.m. and then this is 2:45 p.m. And so from 2 p.m. to 2:45 p.m., it actually doubles, which is pretty crazy, from like 4:20-ish up to 8:30-ish. I wouldn't have done that the whole time. Like this is really rare for it to break the VWAP and then reclaim the VWAP. But then look at it here. It actually, uses the VWAP as support. So it's interesting how it acted. I actually did make another trade on it after hours. So I actually made a little more on my after hours trade than the initial trade. And I got it on a dip. So, once you see these things have multiple spikes, you can, dip buy into the drops and sell into the strengths. So I actually got a little lucky here. I didn't even realize Trump was presenting his plan, for the tariffs, like right at the market close. And it was, I missed this entire spike and bounce and everything. And it was tanking into the close. And, it went pretty far here, from the highs here at 8-ish. And then again, all the way down here to the 5s. Not quite down to the 420s, but when it drops from 8 down to basically the 5 area, it's not an exact science. Like people ask, like, where do you dip buy? I'm trying to judge how fast it's dropping and where I think there's going to be support. And I like buying stocks just below key levels. So I bought this stock at 498. It cracked 5. The key was that there were actually a lot of buyers at 5. And so, some people put their buy orders at 501, 502, 503, thinking that, 5 support would hold. It took out all the 501, 502s, 503s, and the 5s, and it went down to the 490s. I think, when I bought it, it had gotten down to like 490. But then there was another round of big buyers at 490. So sometimes when you have a volatile stock and it cracks like a key support, like a round number like that, it just keeps going. And, it can go from 5 to like 470 like that. This one actually had a lot of dip buyers in the 480s and 490s. So I thought, okay, let me try 1,000 shares, right? Like I thought that it could bounce a little bit. We know that it has multiple bounces. And, my whole goal was just a 5 or 10% on the bounce. I got a little bit more on than that on the 13%. Part of the reason why I took it is actually, this is how funny it is. Like I said, I was an idiot. I didn't even realize that Trump was talking. And I got out because I hit a milestone of my own. Year to date, roughly $50,000. And I knew that I was close to 50,000. And, who doesn't like milestones? So I just took it because I was like, hey, I'm over 50,000. And like within seconds, this one faded a little bit more. Like it would have been like a small loss had I not looked at my own milestone. But within seconds of me, basically selling, like the whole, this is the NASDAQ. The whole market has just fallen off a cliff with all these extra tariffs that were not anticipated. This is the NASDAQ. I mean, Tesla was up to like 290 and now it's down to like 260. Like these are big after hours drops as I'm filming this. So long story short, and AREB is down to 4. Like it kept going down. So this is kind of a not the most probable outcome here. Usually you get these big spikes and then they probably just fade, but this is a pretty strong stock. Very similar to MYSC, which was a big winner for me on Friday, where, my doubler, my over the weekend newsletter. So, and that was when the NASDAQ was down like huge too. So even if the markets are down, we're just trying to take singles on these volatile stocks, long story short. And, even though the market's dropped and this one dropped later, I don't care. I'm just locking in profits. I'm taking singles. And I know, many other people took singles. So congrats to all of you. I actually have to get going, but I wanted to just include, this little extra video. You tell me, did you watch AREB? Did you trade it? Did you learn from it? If you missed it, are you going to be better prepared for the next time it happens? And again, multiple of our products and newsletters called this out. So sign up, okay? Get prepared, use these tools. No matter what the overall market is doing, there are plays like these. Congrats to everybody. I hit a nice little milestone and, I know many of you guys are killing it too. We'll see what the market brings us. Take singles, sell into strength. Thank you.